and I personally think that meme coins are bullshit. I think it's generally best that if one is trying to create a general purpose platform, it's not particularly clear how a decision can be made. Polkadot's strategy of having very large amounts of, we already start to see this with chain amalgamated state on a single state chain like Ethereum.
Hello, may I, how can I call you? Is it Dr. Gavin Wood or Gavin is okay?
Whatever is most comfortable for you.
Okay, sure, thank you. And before we start, we know that you love British beer, so we prepare the Taiwan beer that is the most delicious and fresh one. So we can open it and awesome. You can give it a try.
It's very kind of you. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, so let's get started. Okay, so we can see that the goal of the GAVIN project is to make Polkadot a decentralized cloud. This sounds like a highly decentralized business model, where profits are shared with DOT holders. Do we understand it correctly?
In essence, yes. The Polkadot cloud, even at present, uses the DOT token in order to, or burns the DOT token when the cloud resource is utilized. It's just at the moment there's only one way of utilizing it, which is parachains validating their blocks. In the future, and what the JAM network brings, is the ability for the block space that's being sold to be able to do more things.
Okay, I see. Thank you. And this next question is, Ethereum is working on their 2 rollups, and Vitalik suggests making a layer 1 block confidence faster. Do you think this can be changed based on your Web3 maximums, or can it change if the community wants it?
Well, Ethereum governance is a difficult thing to understand and be specific about. It's not particularly clear how a decision can be made in Ethereum as it stands. Ethereum was not made with any way of determining how it should be changed. It really comes down to a very opaque political arrangement between the various stakeholders of Ethereum trying to agree on how things should be changed. There is not, for example, a specific voting mechanism or a specific body that would be delegated to determine what that change should be. Now, in the end, I think what we've found in the past is that as long as the change is not deeply controversial, and sometimes even when it is, Vitalik's voice carries a lot of weight. And so I think if it's something that Vitalik feels is necessary, it will probably happen.
I see. Thank you. And the next question, Vitalik did not like NFT or player meme coins at first, but after people in the Ethereum community got upset, he now talks about meme lady a lot, like he made peace with them. Do you think a public blockchain should support meme coin to get more users? Do you think a Polkadot should do this as well?
I think broadly speaking, it is a more resilient, more Web3 aligned system if those who control and manage a particular platform do not attempt to influence the use cases that are sitting in the user land. Now, there's some times where this can be, this isn't practical, but I think overall, it can be one can get into very difficult situations if one backs some particular use cases but not others. I think it's generally best that if one is trying to create a general purpose platform, one accepts that there can be lots of different use cases and none should be more privileged than any others. Now, I'm a pretty opinionated guy, and I personally think that meme coins are bullshit, but I think that gambling is maybe not such a good such a virtuous use of this technology, but I'm not going to go out of my way to stop it either. I think it's, you know, as someone who is creating a Web3 platform, I accept that my opinions shouldn't affect the technical decisions of the platform. Now, where I spend my money and what I sort of do on the platform can be one thing, but I don't think it's necessarily so helpful for me to publicly back particular use cases and not others. But, you know, whatever. I also don't think it's an especially big issue.
I see. You show your respect, their culture or the meme coins, but probably if you want to make some decision, you will not like make them to publish some meme coins, something like that.
Indeed. I mean, I personally am not going to enter the meme coin world. I think it's a bit of a waste of time and a questionable use of resources. But if people want to use it for meme coins, I want to make the best platform.
Okay.
And it's the best platform for everything. So if people want to use the platform for meme coins, I'm also going to. I mean, that just means they're using. I mean, they should presumably be using the best platform, and I want to make that platform. So it's not that I think I'm particularly anti-meme coin. I just don't want to place myself firmly behind the meme coin train.
I see. Okay, thank you. Okay, the next question is, you are, as we know, you are also a DJ. Now, electronic music is popular on TikTok, and club dancing has changed into reels dancing. Do you think this is good or bad? And Web3 social platform seems less attractive compared to centralized ones. What's your point of view on this?
I think, I mean, electronic music in particular tends to be remixed quite a lot. Or rather, at least most remixes tend to be electronic. And remixing presents a very interesting problem and opportunity for what people call intellectual property. In particular, allowing the original artist to be compensated whilst also attempting to compensate the derivative artist. This generally requires quite a lot of. It's such a complicated thing. It has not generally been solved, and I think with blockchain and Web3 we have an opportunity to solve it and create a more equitable and reasonable way of managing artist rights for derivative works. Now, one of the groups working on this is Beatport.io, who are looking into ways of tokenizing music, and in particular with a view to tokenizing derivative works and helping the artists of derivative works have better incentive, and of course the artists of the original works also having an incentive for derivative works to be made. And I think this is a unique unique use case for Web3. Unfortunately, I think one of the reasons it's not really been attempted very much yet is because the domain knowledge required for managing this information and integrating it into existing platforms is so deep, and generally Web3 practitioners don't have that knowledge, and so there's a bit of a gap. But I think that gap is closing. And it may well be something that we see happening in the not too distant future, in the same way that we see NFTs and general Web3 technologies starting to integrate with video games, like on the Mythos chain. And I think when we start seeing these industry-specific use cases rather than native Web3 use cases, it will start to become clear that Polkadot's strategy of having very large amounts of computation and bandwidth necessary, but partitioning things up into specific domain-specific chains, is a very good one. We already start to see this with chains like Peak, Frequency, and Mythos, where their use case just simply wouldn't be viable on a amalgamated state, on a single state chain like Ethereum or Solana. I think this will become ever more clear as more and more industries attempt to move to a Web3 enabled model, like digital music.
I see, okay.
Well, I think Taiwan is a very interesting place in that it has a history of really valuing resilience. This is maybe in contrast to Japan and Tokyo in general, that have had broadly speaking, a much more like internally, at least in recent times, internally peaceful history, internally ordered and structured history, and not having to worry too deeply about extraterritorial matters. I think this mindset is very ingrained. I mean, I don't know. I've only spoken to a few Taiwanese, but my feeling so far, at least, is that this mindset can be quite ingrained. And in some senses, it is a sort of Web3 mindset. Like, Web3 is meant to be resilient digital services, resilient systems, resilient, massively multi-user systems. And in some sense, territories are massively multi-user systems. They're massively multi-citizen systems. And if we look to engineer such a resilient system in the physical world, we look towards not entirely dissimilar things in the digital world. Decentralization, diversity, avoiding weak choke points in the system. And this is the same to some extent of any place in the world. But I think here it is maybe somewhat more keenly felt. And it may very well make it easier for practitioners to make the leap from regular, highly trustful Web2 centralized systems into a much more resilient, cryptographically enabled, decentralized mindset. And I think it's not, I don't think this comes out of nowhere. I mean, I know that, for example, the previous information technology minister, I think, information systems minister, was also quite deeply involved in the blockchain space. Yeah, I think that it's potentially quite fertile ground for Web3.
Okay, I see.
Very briefly, I've actually only been, this time I flew in yesterday afternoon, so I only had time to go out for some food. I had some Taiwanese cuisine, had some, it's Hakka cuisine, so Hakkanese cuisine, so it's like a particular, I guess, ethnic subgroup of Taiwan, or demographic subgroup of Taiwan, but very nice. I do enjoy. I actually enjoy pretty much all Asian food, but last night's was particularly good. And I was walking around Taipei a bit, also in the evening with my friend here. So we were exploring a little bit and trying to get a feel for the place. I mean, it's a very interesting place, and it's one of the things that's sort of draws some interest is, I think, somehow it's I don't know whether it's like historical or geographical, but it has some ties to Japan, and you see quite a lot of Japanese text when you're walking around the city, katakana, and it's kind of cool that it's like this this melting pot.
Yes.
You very much get this feeling of a melting pot, somewhat similar to certain other countries where we see sort of not just a sort of monoculture, but multiple cultural strains. So this is quite nice too. But I would like to spend more time, but unfortunately I have to head back to Europe tomorrow. So I'm very limited in what I can see. But I will be looking forward to some more food in 10 minutes time.
Sure. Okay. Hey, sure. Then it's our interview. Okay, so it's our pleasure to have Gavin with you, and thank you for your interview. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for yours.
Thank you.
Pleasure.